What's going on, beautiful people? Welcome back to the channel.
Welcome back, guys.
So in today's video, what we wanted to do is we want to talk to you guys about 5 tips that's going to help your garden be the best garden that it can be this year, right? So we're going to give you 5 tips, but you got to stick around for the bonus tip, which is, to me, is the best, biggest, and most important, all right? So let's go ahead and get started. Number 1.
Number 1 is going to be, please buy your seeds from a reputable seed company, guys. I was using the box, what is it? I call
box store.
I wouldn't say box office. I was using the box store seeds. We went to the movies today, guys. See Spider-Man, sorry. Okay, so yeah, we were buying the box store seeds, and that's all we really knew. Okay, so I feel like after we did that for about the first 2 years, okay, and all of a sudden I started watching this YouTube channel called Hoss Garden, or what is it, Hoss Tools, I'm sorry. And the way they would talk about their seeds and their fruit, it just interests me, so I just decided to order some seeds from them. And when I got the seeds home, I planted them in, you want to grab that tray from me?
This one?
Yeah. I planted them in something like this, and guys, every little, what do you call this?
Cell.
Every cell came up. Every plant came up. And if this is 72, I had 72 plants, guys. Those seeds are amazing. And that was my first time, like one of my first orders. Those seeds are amazing. So comparing that from what I did before with the other seeds, I felt like in some instances I didn't have any growth at all, or growth was just stunted. But wow, that's why it's number 1 for me, because I feel like it really made the biggest difference, because we were thinking that fertilizing was the issue, or our soil was the biggest issue that we were having, but I'm thinking that it was the seeds.
If all you have access to is the big box stores or Dollar Tree, by all means, go get those seeds, man. We ain't tripping.
No garden at all, guys.
But we're just saying, for us, in our experience, going with a reputable company that actually deals with these seeds. I mean, they grow their own food, right? So you have YouTubers out there that's gonna grow their own food. They're probably gonna have reputable seeds because they're growing it. So they're just taking their seeds and selling them, right? Which is good, because they're growing their own product. But Home Depot is not growing their own product.
Right, and it's probably mass produced, just like, you know, a lot of other things that we buy. So it's probably just not the most care put into them compared to, like, you know, someone who really specializes in that area.
Absolutely. So that's number 1, really important, really, really important. Number 2 is gonna be know your soil. Really important, really, really important. So,
please tell them about our soil.
Our soil is like being at the beach. It's really, really sandy. It's really sandy.
It's kind of clay.
When you get deeper, a little bit deeper, you get a little bit more clay. But on the surface, our stuff is really sandy. The first, I don't know, maybe 6 inches to a foot, you're dealing with a lot of sand, and compacted sand at that. So now, Lead Farmer said before, like, it'll take about 5 years for you to learn your soil, and man, oh man, is that proven to be true. Right now, we haven't actually had a soil test done. But we're learning a lot about the soil through trial and error, and I'm gonna say that's the best way for you to learn, is to just throw something in the ground and see how it responds. Because believe it or not, we've had some surprises actually grow here. Like we've had the cantaloupe and the honeydew and the zucchini. The zucchini loves this soil. Excuse me, the zucchini absolutely loves this soil. So zucchini just it just took off. Not just the zucchini, the crooknut squash. That stuff, was it crooknut or butternut? It was butternut squash. The last one that we grew. The butternut squash absolutely loved this soil. We planted it, and it took off. Watermelon, it will take off, the vine will take off, right? We just got to figure out why the fruit won't grow.
Yeah, that's where we're kind of stuck at. And
Number three
is going to be succession planning. You want to, if we have a small garden, so you want to get the most that you can out of your garden. So sitting there and planning what you're gonna plant next. Once the other things are harvested, you want to go right back in and start planting, or even before they're harvested. So you got stuff growing in the shelves already, ready to go right in the ground. Maybe a few weeks after you
put your first
ones down. You want to get the most out of the season. The season is only, you know,
so many days.
It's only so many days, so you can. Funny story. We planted like once, right?
Just once.
Didn't know anything about succession planning, and I was just kind of like spending time in the garden, like wondering if everything was just going to grow again. So that was one of my.
But you live and you learn.
You got to, guys. You got to, and that's what we're here for. Like we don't always get it right, and we definitely don't mind telling you guys that. So I was out there just like, hey, what?
Yeah, we took everything. It's like, is anything else coming?
Right.
Like,
so succession planning is very, very, very important. You can maximize your results if you're only working on a certain amount of acreage, because you are making the most of your time. You can pull more food out of that garden.
True. Very important too. Very, very important. Number 4, I'm gonna say scheduling your garden. Scheduling your garden. Planning it, right? Mapping it out. Because what a lot of new gardeners will do, and we was able to escape making this mistake because we had watched enough videos to know. But you always want to be on the south face. You want your things that require full sun to be on the south side of your garden, right? So that if the sun goes over, it's getting max sun the entire time. And you don't want to have anything in the shade that needs full sun, because it's not going to develop properly.
The smallest amount of shade can interfere with your growth.
Absolutely. We have a fence around the house, and we put a couple of beds right next to the fence, so they still get good half. So basically, like half of that bed would get good sun in the warmer months, right? But the other half doesn't. So needless to say, what we planted there required full sun, and it didn't grow because it was constantly in the shade. And we have trees that we want to put in the ground this year. So now all our trees have to be on the north side of the garden, so that when the sun passes, it's casting the shadow on the opposite side. So you have to know the layout of your garden, where you're going to put things at. Not so much in terms of, like, you can companion plant, which means, for those of you who don't know, companion planting is just like certain things grow well together, because something is going to take nutrients from the soil and something else may put nutrients back in the soil. They just work together in harmony. Nature has its way of doing things that we don't understand. So you can do that also, but that's not necessarily what I'm referring to. What I'm talking about is like making sure, like I said, your full shade, your shaded or partial shade plants are not in the wrong place. And the strawberries need full sun. Don't put them in the shade. Don't put them next to a bush that's going to shade it for the most of the day. Afternoon shade for some plants is fine. So as the sun is setting, for them to get a little bit of shade, that's fine. But some things require 6 to 8 hours of sunlight a day. And then knowing where you're going to plant what was over here last year, and what am I going to plant there this year. Like all of our, you want to be careful when you are planting squash, anything in the squash family, any melons, because of the squash bugs, right? The squash bugs basically live in the soil dormant during the colder months. So if you were to go and use that soil again, next year, guess what you're gonna have? A squash bug infestation. So what I've done to combat that is to taking all everything that we were growing squash or melons in, I put it into a pool, a kiddie pool, and I'm amending the soil to grow something completely different in that soil, so that the squash bugs won't necessarily have anything to feed off of. It won't have no squash plant to feed off of for that year, and using a fresh batch of soil for the new squash. So yeah, so that's it. Planning out your garden and making sure you keep tabs on the dates of that they plant things too. That's very important, because last year I didn't do that, and my bad. And things will go. You'll be looking at it like, when is it supposed to put out fruit, or how big is the fruit supposed to get? Like, when did I plant this? Don't try to commit it to memory. Write it on the little tab, some masking tape. Put it, like, whatever you got to do. Just keep tabs of when you plant it, what you planted, where and when. Number 5 is going to be know your environment, right? Knowing your environment is going to be really important, because that too is going to tell you what you can and what you can't grow. If it gets too hot, if it gets too cold, and just knowing, when we talk about knowing the soil, knowing your overall environment is going to be really, really detrimental. Because like we get a lot of high winds up here, so we have to make sure that whatever we plant has a deep, solid root system, or else that stuff is going to leave. It's going to take off. Last year we had a problem with the heat wave. I made hoop houses and it still didn't work. They acted like microwaves when the heat wave came. So knowing your environment is going to be important also, so that you can prevent any kind of premature dying off of any kind of any plants and stuff like that.
Yeah, we had like wind storm come through. We're the house on the corner. We're the house on the corner that gets it the worst.
And that wind whips right across.
Beautiful. I know you guys saw the video of us putting the tent together, guys. That tent got blown away.
It no longer exists.
And completely just damaged. So this year I'm hunting for another one, guys. So you definitely gotta know the environment. Yes. Right.
Which leads us directly into tip number 6, which is the bonus and the biggest, baddest, and most important of them all, which is
community/support. Okay, getting into, if you have a Facebook group in your area, people that are like dealing with the same soil, the same environment that you're dealing with, and can offer you support. Because for us, we just moved in this area, so it was very, very valuable for us to just connect with people that have already been up here, so that we can kind of hop over a lot of those hurdles.
True. Being able to reach out, like the people in this group have been here growing for a while, so they know how this stuff works. While
we're over here tinkering, trying to grow certain types of watermelons or pumpkins, and they're like, hey, don't.
Like, so we would go to Home Depot a lot to pick up supplies last year, and we were running into people, and they would see us with the stuff, and there was spark conversation between gardeners, right? And everybody would be like, "Oh, I have this." We were told about the ground squirrels.
Yeah.
Like they were like, "Don't try to grow watermelon because of the ground squirrels." They were told about. Some people just said they just couldn't grow watermelon at all. But then I get a part of this group, and they're like, "Yeah, I just flat out asked, has anyone had success with watermelon?" And they're like 20, 30 something people was like, "Yeah, I have." It's like one person had failure, and then 20 something, 30 something other people had success. So it's like, okay, so what did you do? So now you get to pull from that resource. We were able to go to a composting class by the guy that heads up the Facebook group, and he was able to teach us about composting and worm farming, and he's selling worm castings by the pound. By the pound. Was it about a bucket? What's it? A
gallon?
I think so. And it's like you get 20. I think he said a 5-gallon bucket for $25. I think that's what he said. Don't quote me. But if you did, that's a lot. That's a lot of worm castings.
And his food was growing beautifully.
And his food is like he had tomato plants that were like her height. And she's like 5'3", right? They had tomato plants that were like her height. And he, you know, and we just saw that it was really possible to grow a lot of things in the high desert. And that right there, we're like we're not wasting our time.
It was a question. It was like, this weather is hot. Like, desert, guys, it gets hot out here.
Hot. Like, yeah. So, and on a note about knowing your environment, our environment gets so hot, you know, it's sometimes it's 15, 20 degrees higher than what our plants, our garden can take last year. Last year it was anyway. Hopefully that was the first time. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. But yeah, so knowing that you have other growers in your community that's growing and doing the same thing as you. And now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying other people's Facebook groups are not good.
Oh yeah,
right?
They're good too.
They're good too. They're great resources.
But if you want to go into specifics, like you're taking out your magnifying glass for your
environment where you're growing, in your grow zone, is like
dial it in.
You want to dial it in and be a part of those. Yeah, because like I said, they're growing in the same soil and the same conditions as you are. So they can tell you some shortcuts. They can tell you give you like, hey, don't try to grow this because it's not going to work because of X, Y, Z. Yeah. So that Facebook group is honestly the gemstone. It's crazy, ridiculous how beneficial it is. And everybody in here should be a part of a Facebook group, a gardening Facebook group in your local area, at least at a minimum in your grow zone. That way you can kind of learn from those that have experience in growing in that area. So guys, that's it. Those are our 5+1 tips that we have for you guys that will help to make your garden more successful this year. We hope you learned something. We hope that this video has been a benefit to someone. If you feel like it has, if you feel like we put out good information in this video, please don't forget to share it. You know, let other people know about this video and about the information that we put out. Also, don't forget to comment,
like,
and subscribe so that you can stay current on our gardening journey. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, we love you guys, and we hope to see you guys again real soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.